Namaskar and welcome to Sunset Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today we're going to talk about innovation and educational institutes. Now, the buzzword across the globe for the 21st century is innovation, which is considered to be the primary driver of progress. Incentivizing innovation and intellectual property creation is important for India's future growth prospects as well. Ministry of Education's Innovation Cell has recently released the third edition of Atal Ranking of Institutions on Innovation Achievements, that is ARIA 2021. Now, this ranking classifies participating institutions into two major categories: technical and non-technical. In the technical ranking, IIT Madras has been recognized as the most innovative educational institution in India for the third time. Now, this is IIT Madras has secured the first rank for the third time. As I was saying, IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi were placed at the second and third ranks respectively this year. Out of total of 3,551 higher education institutes registered in India, 1,438 institutions, including IITs, NIITs, IICs, etc., participated in this exercise. For India to emerge as a global innovation hub, the youth of our country, especially in the higher education institutes, need to play a crucial role to create a sustainable innovation ecosystem. In today's episode, we will discuss and analyze what has been done so far on this aspect and what lies in the road ahead. And for more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. V. Ramagopal Rao, Director, IIT Delhi. We are also joined by Mr. Neeraj Sinha, Senior Advisor with Niti Aayog. Professor Unnat P. Pandit is also joining us. He's there with the Intellectual Property Management Cell in the JNU. And Yashash Karnam, Director and CEO of Bellatrix Aerospace, is also joining us today. Welcome, all of you gentlemen, to Sunset Television. Let me begin with you, Professor Pandit, and let's first start by understanding, one round to all of you, the importance or the significance of innovation vis-a-vis when we're talking about our higher educational institutions and, of course, overall growth prospects as well.
See, India is always giving importance to the creation by the researcher and intellectual people. And since 2015 onwards, the startup movement and the vocal for local has always been encouraged by the government. So this is a great initiative taken up by the Ministry of Education, wherein they are recognizing the efforts made by the institution on promoting the innovation and culture of this innovation, and mainly the activities promoted by the institutions are recognized under this NIRF ranking, ARIA ranking. And this ARIA ranking includes the local awareness program, local initiative taken up by the institution, the innovations which are in a lab reaching to the incubation phase are recognized. So it is very much important to recognize, and it has several categories, and we all know that in one of the category, the IITs and central universities, institute of national importance are placed, wherein you have already mentioned that IIT Madras is there, and then there are other categories, state government funded universities and the private institutions also. So everybody has been given a fair opportunity to showcase their innovation and submit their details for getting the better and improved ranking.
Okay, so clearly this is an exercise which is very important in terms of us to understand as to where do we stand. Professor Rao, I'd like to bring you in here. Your institute has secured the third position when we're talking about ARIA 21. Now, the question I have is that not only this exercise, but also the importance of bringing innovation at the center stage when we're talking about the higher education institutes.
If you look at overall our research ranking, India is indeed doing pretty well. India currently ranks third in the world when it comes to our research publications. But if you look at the innovation ranking of India, we are at 48th position. And there is absolutely no reason why, while we are doing so well in research, why we should be so much lagging behind when it comes to innovation, and which is measured in terms of patents and all that. We are seeing a massive growth in terms of number of patents, even in our institutions. For example, the general norm is to do research and publish a paper, and all that was required was before you publish a paper, if there is any IP in that publication, you want to protect it. And I think the sequence always is patent, publish, and prosper kind of a thing. And so that was the sequence that we needed to introduce into our institutions. And once we have done that, because that awareness now is there in the country, in fact, India has seen almost like some 600% growth in the last 7 years. I was looking at some data, recently, 600% growth in the last 7 years. So I think it's a matter of awareness more than anything else. The potential is there in terms of innovation, but we are as a country, we are a bit of a late entrance into this game, and we publish. Somebody uses all the knowledge that we generate and sells us back the technologies and the products. That was how things were happening all along. But now that we are all filing enough patents, for example, at IIT Delhi, when I joined here as a director, 2015-16, if you look at our number of patents filed, we were filing like 20 patents per year. And now if you look at even during the COVID year, 2021, we filed something like 165 patents. So from 20 patents to 165 patents in a matter of 5 years is the kind of a growth that we are seeing.
Okay.
And I think, it will happen now. At the rate that we are growing, I think we will also, improve our innovation ranking and become as good as, the knowledge generation aspect that we are seeing in the country.
Okay, and those are very encouraging numbers, Professor Rao, which you mentioned in terms of patents filed by IIT Delhi there. Let me bring in Mr. Neeraj Sinha also. Mr. Sinha, when we're talking about the sustainable ecosystem, innovation ecosystem, where do we stand today in terms of implementing the processes in places which are, very important and significant? And I'm referring to educational institutions here.
First of all, India's ranking, I thought I'll bring this to the notice of all my panelists as well, has improved substantially. There is, as we know, a global innovation index, which is brought out annually by the World Intellectual Property Organization. And the NITI Aayog in the Government of India is supposed to ensure a steady climb of India in the ladder of innovation as far as the global innovation ranking is concerned. So we were ranked 81 in 2015, and from there we have now come to 46th, not 48. We were 48th in the year 2020. In the year 2021, in the GII 2021 that was launched in September of last year, we are now ranked at 46th. So there's been a substantial improvement. And this improvement obviously comes to a large measure from the very good performance of our educational institutions. And you already mentioned, and other panelists have also mentioned, how well India is performing as far as publication of papers is concerned, as far as imparting quality education, be it in the technical education or be it in the social education or any other field is concerned. Now, what I can supplement here is, innovation is a very broad term. I mean, we all know what innovation is, but what we tend to overlook at times is that every country, every region, every college, every unit of society has some prosperity that it inherits. And to that, we add the government's conducive policies. It is the government's job to catalyze, it is the government's job to improvise, and it is the government's job to guide this inherited prosperity, as we call it, to lead to created prosperity.
Okay.
Now, created prosperity is what firms do. I mean, what the industry does to create value by realizing the potential of natural resources in any given place. So this is true for education institutions as well. I mean, what our teachers teach there fulfills the role of the government. What knowledge the students bring to the college before they enter the graduation level is the inherited prosperity that they have. And what they become 4 years after or 5 years after or 3 years after graduation is the property that they create, or is the prosperity that they create. So we that way at this stage, I would also like to bring in the fact that the India Innovation Index, which is brought out by the NITI Aayog
Indeed.
every year, plays a big role in bringing the spirit of competitive federalism amongst the states. I can talk about it later when the time
Indeed.
comes, but
Indeed. We'll come to that part later, Mr. Sinha, in terms of what is being done and what needs to be done vis-a-vis the policy tweaks or policy initiatives there as well. But let's also, since you mentioned industry, let's also understand the industry perspective here. Mr. Yashash Kannam is with us, Director and CEO of Bellatrix Aerospace. Mr. Kannam, from industry's point of view, how do you analyze the way innovation is being brought into focus and the ecosystem which is being put into place? What does industry think of it? Where do we stand? What more needs to be done?
If you look at any country for that matter, so if you look at a country which has done very well in terms of industrial progress, and if there is a lot of cutting edge R&D happening in the industry, it is directly relevant to the kind of talent available in the country. Like, a company cannot do something cutting edge if they don't have the right resources. So today, if there is a company in like a very high-tech area in the US, it is probably a result of a lot of innovation that is happening in the universities. And in many cases, we have seen a lot of companies spin off from universities. That is now happening gradually in India also. A lot of research does happen at some of the most prestigious institutes, and even at tier 2, tier 3 colleges as well, we have seen a lot of industry spin-offs happen. And also in terms of the point I'm trying to get towards is that today a company like Bellatrix is able to function and operate here in India. And we are able to compete and build products which are competing with some of our likes in the US and Europe. It is only possible because we have now come to a particular stage where there is a lot of drive or hunger for innovation, talent pool that is coming out of it. So that is itself in my thing a ranking that I would call for the innovation.
Okay.
But I think there are a lot of other things maybe in the later stages.
Okay, but what is it that industry is looking for when we talk about, because as all our other panelists were pointing out, a lot of work is being done in educational institutes, higher educational institutes specifically, and a lot of patents are being filed. The youngsters are working on very innovative ideas. But as an entrepreneur, if you could make us understand and our viewers understand, what is it that the industry is looking for?
So what we are facing in terms of problems when we take people from the industry or people directly from universities, we give a problem statement and the student might have worked on the same problem statement as a master's project or some cases even their PhD project. But even if they are working on the same project within a company, when some product has to be qualified for the end use application, it all comes down to reliability and like in terms of our space industry, for example, if we send something in satellite, something to space, the system has to work for the next 20 years. So you have to design for repeatability and design for that kind of thing. So that is where we are facing challenges, where something that might work at the lab level, the same students would take another 4 or 5 years to again do that R&D, figure out, do the process again, and get to a stage where we are able to qualify a system. So one thing we really feel that is important from universities is that some sort of continuation and a better transfer of knowledge from one batch of students to the next batch. So the students are already equipped with some sort of knowledge transfer on what the seniors were working on, what challenges were. So on top of that, if they keep building, that would really help the industry in cutting short the development.
Okay. Professor Rao, are we able to do that? And then, what more needs to be done vis-a-vis Mr. Kannam's points, which industry is looking for, specifically the continuity and, the workability of the innovative model apart from the lab, conditions?
Of course, there are two aspects to filing a patent. One aspect is that you protect your IP, and you expect an industry to take that IP and then develop products out of it, which is one model for the technology transfer. The other aspect, which is becoming very prominent for us in academic institutions, is startups. The number of deep technology startups is directly proportional to the number of patents you file. Because if you're starting a technology company and if you don't own your patents, no one is ever going to fund that company. So therefore, patents become very important when we think of startup culture and all of that. And that is one very important aspect. I think one thing which we are also looking at looking in academic institutions is, while we are publishing so many papers, I think, can we also look a little bit closely whether these papers contain any IP, and then see whether we can proactively protect IP in these papers. For example, I work in the area of nanotechnology, and if you look at US, in US, for every 5 papers they publish in nanotechnology, a patent is filed. For every 5 papers, 1 patent. India, for every 300 papers, we file 1 patent. That is a kind of a ratio between the research to patents, between the world's most innovative country like US and a country like India. I think that needs to change.
Okay.
We cannot, just take government money, generate knowledge, publish it, and expect that, something will happen out of that. I think we need to start protecting our IP more and more. And since knowledge generation happens primarily in academic institutions such as, tier 1, tier 2 kind of institutions, and even other institutions as well, it becomes very important for us to generate that awareness, protect IP, and also do the technology transfer, put in place the technology transfer offices in our institutions, so that finally the patents are utilized either for a startup or by an industry. I think that process is as important as filing patents. Otherwise, it just becomes a bullet in somebody's CV and it doesn't really yield any results. So we are all now in our institutions beginning to look at IP technology transfers as a revenue model for us now.
Okay.
We are also looking at how much money we spend in filing those patents or maintaining those patents vis-a-vis how much money we earn out of those patents. I think all of these are happening now, and I think we are seeing a good growth.
Okay.
It's just a matter of time before we catch up with the rest of the world in this space. So.
Okay. Professor Pandit, would you agree that result-oriented research, basically translating research into more patents, protecting the IP, that is what needs to be in the focus here to finally achieve the end results?
Yeah, definitely. See, everything counts for the improving our ranking. What Dr. Neeraj Sinha ji has mentioned, that we have a linkage of GII with India Innovation Index. Now this India Innovation Index need to have a backward linkages with all ARIA ranking, NIRF ranking, and NAC accreditation, and then research activities being carried out. So what Professor Rao has mentioned, that number of patents are increasing, like under his leadership from 20 to 160 patents. So this is a significant growth. But translating this research into the applied deployable innovation is a bigger challenge. And for that, we have taken up various initiatives on a government front. We have supported all the researcher, innovator to take care of translating this lab research into the commercial scale through the proper incubation system which has been created. IIT has a wonderful incubation center. There are IIT Madras has a wonderful incubation center. IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, all these are having a rich resources. So that's why they are always into the higher ranking. Now, if we want to bring entire ecosystem to the next level, then we need to have this kind of a linkages established. So if some facilities available in IITs that need to be made accessible to the universities also.
Okay.
So this is a government establishment. They have this kind of infrastructure which is not even getting utilized to the 100%. So how this can be extended to the state universities or other institutions?
Okay.
So that innovation which is more applied, which is more reliable, quality and the overall output is matching to the need which is required by the commercial people.
Okay.
And industry is going to decide that fate.
Indeed,
that
indeed,
kind of
ultimate.
linkages need to be established.
Indeed, linkages are the key part there, and ultimately it's the industry which will take the call and, of course, pick the most applicable innovation out there in the real world. But this important, aspect which you were mentioning, Professor Pandit, in terms of ensuring that the regional institutes or the state universities also are brought to that particular level where these, the national level institutes like IITs and IIScs are also there. Mr. Sinha, I'd like to bring you in here. You were earlier referring to, policy initiatives and policy tweaks as well. Of course, policies will also have to evolve with the technology. There will also have to be innovative ideas when we talk about policies vis-a-vis innovation.
Yeah, thank you. So I was mentioning to you about the India Innovation Index. This is a very ambitious index that has been launched by the Government of India through the NITI Aayog, and it was launched in the year 2019. We have already brought out the India Innovation Index 2019 and India Innovation Index 2020, and the India Innovation Index 2021 is now due to come out by the February of this year. There, what we do is we look at, so far we have looked at 36 indicators, which broadly come under 7 pillars. These pillars are human capital, then investment, knowledge workers, business environment, and safety and legal environment. So these 5 constitute what are called as enablers, and they help us measure the inputs that go into the economy. And then we have 2 pillars called knowledge output and knowledge diffusion, which we call as performance indicators or performance pillars. Now, between these 7 pillars, there are these 5 which I mentioned earlier, have under them about 25 indicators. Now, these indicators span across various aspects of economy, including technical education, as has been discussed today, including patents that are filed, including translational research, which you mentioned. And then we also have 11 indicators under the performance pillars, and a ratio of the performance indicators versus the enabling indicators gives you the score for any given state.
Okay.
It's quite an involved exercise, and we have been doing this for the past 3 years now. And one purpose that comes out of it very clearly is when you start ranking states based on their innovation capabilities, you invariably bring in them a spirit of competition. Now, if Karnataka ranks higher than Andhra, then Andhra is definitely going to rank higher than Karnataka in the next year. Take it from me, we have seen at least amongst 5 or 6 states in India, where after this index was launched in 2019, now we are being often, we are getting inputs from the states. They are asking us, how do we go up the ladder? What do we do to race past our neighbor and all that? And this is really auguring well for the economy, because other than cooperative federalism, which is promoted by NITI Aayog among the states, competitive federalism has also become a very important aspect.
Indeed, indeed. The spirit of competition does bring in the factor there to do a little better than the competitor out there. Clearly, those are very, very important and significant aspects when we're talking about innovation and specifically the way it is being put into practice in the higher education institutes. Thank you so much, Mr. Neeraj Sinha, Professor Rao, Professor Unnat Pandit, as well as Mr. Yashash Karnam for sharing your views and insight with our viewers. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.